Cole, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good. All right, we're going to give it a couple minutes or a couple seconds just to wait for people to tune in. But how's your day been going?
Pretty good. Yeah, not too bad. It's nice weather today, which is nice. It's been kind of crazy the last couple of days, but yeah.
You gotten outside at all?
Yeah, we the fishing just opened up again, so and I live on a lake, so I've been fishing a little bit, and yeah, it's just nice to get outside too. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Good stuff. Okay, so we'll get going now. So Cole Fontonelle, Skyline High School shortstop, headed to UW. Thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Buhler. I'm a high school sports reporter at Scorebook Live Washington, and this is a series we call Face to Face. We do it every week. We've done it every week since the shutdown. It's an interview series we're doing kind of as a part of our statewide high school sports coverage, highlighting a different athlete, getting to know a different standout athlete across the state each week. So the way it works is anyone tuning in is welcome to submit questions for Cole, for you, and we'll get them answered at the end of the interview. And we'll archive this interview on our YouTube channel and on our website, scorebooklive.com/Washington, as well as, I think, in podcast form. So plenty of ways to catch up with it if you miss it live. So without further ado, I guess we'll get going as people start to tune in. So you are a couple weeks, more than a month into this shutdown, just like the rest of us, and but for you, it was really impactful because you lost your senior season unexpectedly. So how have you processed the baseball season being canceled? And what was that like in the early days when you didn't know, what was going to happen, if you guys were going to be able to come back?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, there's a lot of confusion, obviously, and I think in the early stages we were just hoping for the best, and I know we had 10 seniors, and I was just we're just kind of taking it day by day. And I remember the last practice we had a little inter squad scrimmage, and we didn't know if it was going to be the end. Our coach at that point had told us it was going to be 6 weeks, and but I think some of us kind of it was hinted that it might be the end, and I really felt there's 3 guys that was going to be there. That was the last game, and I really felt for those guys, and it was definitely tough. And I think we got the news maybe a couple of weeks later that it was over for sure, and that was definitely tough to know that's over for sure. And especially I feel like to get that message to not be around those guys, I feel like that's something that is kind of tough, just to be at home and just to see that, and it's unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the weeks following, and especially as you guys were kind of in social isolation and stay at home when the news broke. Since then, have you had much conversation as a unit with your team?
Yeah. So our head coach Brandon Hemphill, he organized a couple of Zoom calls and just checking in, seeing how we're doing. And it was good to see some of the faces of the guys that obviously I haven't been able to see for a while, and some of the guys that I'd be competing with right now. So so it was good to catch up with those guys.
For sure. And you guys had a heck of a season last year. One that, it ended in the first round. I know it ended earlier than you guys would have wanted it to a team in Olympia that made a nice Cinderella run. But you guys brought back a really talented roster this spring. I think, is it 7 players headed off to play in college next year? Mm-hmm. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
As you look back on your high school baseball career, is there one memory, one game, maybe one moment that stands out to you among the rest?
I'd say last season it was a league game against Eastlake at home, and I believe it was senior night. We were down, I want to say 4 going into the last inning. And I remember Dawson Baracani, he got a hit to lead us off, and I think I followed him with a hit, and we just strung the hits together, and we ended up coming back all the way and winning it on a walk-off by Dawson again. But
right on.
Yeah, so that was, and for that on senior night, and to come back like that was, Will said the nestle. Yeah, that's what we called it. But that was a great moment.
Was there a dog pile or anything like that?
We crowded Dawson. He got the second hit of the inning. We had to show him love.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, you're headed off to UW next year. You're committed to UW. At least, Prep Baseball Report ranks you guys, or you, as the number 2 prospect in the state, in the top 250 nationally, if I'm not mistaken. Even though you're signed with Washington next year, I know you're somebody who is really looking at the draft and somebody who has the possibility of going this year. Where are you in that process? I know the draft looks a little different. It might not be solidified how exactly it will look with how many rounds, but where are you at in that process right now?
Yeah, right now, I guess trying to figure out a price for me, and then just kind of taking it day by day and gathering information. And a lot of the scouts are contact me and keeping in touch, but getting a little anxious as it gets closer. But either way, pros or going to college is good options for me. But so yeah, I'm getting a little excited. Yeah.
Was that important when you decided your college commitment, that you could put yourself in a position to where you would have, potentially 2 great options?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be honest with you, when I was first getting recruited by college, like the pro scouts or pros were not even in my mind. I was just happy to, be given an opportunity. So it wasn't until probably late last summer that I started the pro thing kind of, started coming to the equation. And but as far as like picking a college, the pros, I mean, I wanted to be in a spot to where I could go professionally afterwards, but it wasn't to get like leverage or anything like that. It was more just like for development and having a good place to be for 3 years.
Sure. And I know that, you're somebody who obviously would have certainly benefited from a great senior season in that regard, but that hasn't stopped scouts from being interested in you. What teams have talked to you, and to what extent? I mean, has there been at-home visits, Zoom visits, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think around 20 of the teams have talked to me, and before the shutdown, of course, I had a decent amount of home visits, and they'll send me like surveys to fill out, and or they'll text me or call me or reach out to me in different ways. But now it's mostly just the texting and calling and trying to figure out who I am as a person, and because they can't really see me play anymore. So
yeah, I know Skyline has a lion's share of players who have gone through that process and achieved success professionally. Is there anyone you've leaned on specifically who you might have played with, or anyone in Skyline's program or even outside that you've kind of leaned on through this process?
Well, I think Will Simpson and Cole Hinkleman went through it last year, and those are 2 good guys to talk to, and it's kind of interesting to hear like their 2 perspectives on it, because Cole's kind of a guy that was he was going to Stanford, whereas Will is more open to it, and I get to hit with those guys all the time and talk to them and see how they go about their business. So that was good to see.
How have you stayed in shape throughout all this?
Well, I've been able to work out at home. Got a decent amount of like weights and stuff here, and I'm able to run sprints at my local middle school. So just trying to stay in shape there.
Okay, I'm seeing the questions pile up in the queue, so there's a lot to get to at the end of the interview, which is a good thing. So you're a multi-sport athlete and played basketball through your senior year. You were able to actually put a bow on your basketball career. You guys finished second in the Kinco Crest and had a run in the district tournament. Ran into 2 teams that played until the last day in Glacier Peak and Mount Si. Kind of a buzzsaw there, but how do you reflect on your senior basketball season and kind of being able to put a bow on that career?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved playing basketball my whole life, and I was really my junior year we had a tough year and we struggled, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be like going into the season. I knew that in the league it was going to be a fight for second place because Mount Si is Mount Si, but to be honest, I think we exceeded expectations for a lot of people, and maybe met expectations for us. But I was really proud of the guys, and we worked together well, and we worked hard at practice, and and it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I did it. And I know that there's some people saying like, oh, you should not play your senior year and just focus on baseball, but I was like, no, this is something I have to do, and I'm really glad I did it because it was a lot of fun, and to
Yeah,
playing with
that's
other guys.
great.
It's good. Yeah.
I saw somebody saying shout out Coach Kaplan in the comments. So
Oh yeah.
there we
That
go.
was, yeah, that
Uh,
was our coach. Yeah.
this past off season, you focused on building strength. In the process, you built muscle and really kind of put an emphasis on that. How did you go about doing that, and what was the decision process there? How did you know that you needed to kind of enhance that side of your game?
Well, it was more like I would just look at major leaguers and say like, well, here's a guy that I look at and I'm like, this is somewhere that I'd like to be like, and they weigh this amount and they can run this fast. And here's another guy that I'd like to emulate my game on, and weighs this much and can run this fast. So it was pretty easy to like see like, oh, this is where I need to be. It was pretty like set in stone of what it needs to be, and I needed to get bigger, stronger, and faster. So
Yeah. Gotcha. Is there anyone in particular that you look up to in the majors and kind of have molded your game after?
I really like Corey Seager. He's a guy that, I mean, he's a tall shortstop. He can hit the ball, and he's quick, and he makes good plays. So that's one of the better guys in the league for me.
There
to
you
look
go.
at. Yeah.
There you go. What do you like doing outside of baseball? There's a rumor.
Kind of froze on me here.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah, here, yeah.
What do you like to do outside of baseball? I know you mentioned that you guys live on a lake and you fish a little bit. Is that a big hobby outside of baseball?
Yeah, definitely. Especially, or the season for our lake is last Saturday in April through Halloween. So during that time, yeah, fishing helps me pass the time, and I like cars too. So I'll read about like cars and like fast cars. So hopefully maybe one day I'll have a fast car. But I love watching the Mariners. It's kind of disappointing that I don't get to watch the Mariners, but those are probably my three hobbies. Yeah.
Is the lake open at this point?
It is for you can fish it if I think the public park is closed, but I think it is open for like residents and stuff. And I guess if you wanted to drag a boat down there, you could fish it too. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so we're gonna get to some submitted questions, and before I go into the queue, I have a question that was submitted. Let's just say by somebody close to the Skyline program, who wants to know if you found any frozen ropes or curved balls lately.
Okay, all right. That's actually a funny story. I'm not sure who said that, but I think that was like my sophomore year. My coach was like to play a prank on me. Told me to go find some curved balls in our hitting barn, and I went looking for them for a while, and I was like, "What is he talking about?" But yeah, it was pretty funny.
What's the frozen rope?
I think it's a similar story where they like, "Oh, can you find a frozen rope?" But
So coaches sent you on a wild goose chase. Is this like a rite of passage, or is this just a thing directed at you?
I think it's been done in the past, but that year it was just me. That was my sophomore year. It was my first year on varsity. So
Yeah, that had to have been a cool experience though, going through that as kind of the young guy in the program, especially when you had so many great players to look up to.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was definitely. I know like the seniors that year, they were super helpful, and they were really accepting of me, and I was glad to have them. And yeah, they're still some of my friends today. So
that was Coach Hemphill who asked me to ask you a
Coach
question.
Hemphill,
By the way.
okay. Nice.
Okay, this question comes from Logan Mercado, who's an Oregon commit from Tri-Cities Prep, and he asks, "What happened to Pillow Talk?" Now, I'm going to need you to give me some background and some context on what that means before you answer the question.
Sure. So I think it was a couple summers ago, me and Logan played on a travel team together, and we were in a tournament in Arizona, and me and him were rooming together, and our coach had noticed how I guess he was kind of entertaining the team with his talks, and he said that me and him should make a podcast together and call it Pillow Talk. And Logan was really, really wanted to do it. We haven't made our first episode yet, but Logan, if you're watching, then we'll have to do that soon.
What would be the topic of your podcast? Do you guys have anything specifically in common? Would it be about baseball?
To be honest, you'd think it'd be about baseball, but it probably wouldn't. I mean, Logan's kind of a weird dude. Sorry, Logan, but he's probably got some funny stuff to talk about other than baseball. We'd probably mention baseball at some point, but
he says in the comments it's in the works. So
yeah, all right. Yeah, we're working on it.
You guys, you got to have time to get a sponsor and get everything like that. So
yeah, we just talk about our feelings. I guess we could talk about our feelings.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, this one is from, I can't see the name, but it says, "What's the biggest piece of advice that a freshman ball player should focus on?" It's a good question.
That's a good question. I would say, man, probably, like during your freshman year, that's when, the recruiting starts to happen. I would say just make sure you're focused on baseball, let the things that are outside of baseball take care of themselves. You're going to start playing in front of people that are watching, and you're going to see college scouts in the stands. And it's just important to, just focus on the baseball and just try to do your job every day and have fun with it because, it's, you want to make sure that you're like, you can make the most out of your high school careers. And so, yeah, for freshmen, it's big on that.
I like that. That's good advice. This one comes from Eric Hollerback. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name, but what's your mindset going into the final inning, knowing that you're 3 outs away from a perfect game? Is this a scenario that?
Oh yeah. So Eric was my summer ball coach for the past few years, and and I think it was maybe a couple years ago. I threw a perfect game at a tournament at Wazoo, and I guess my mindset was I was a little bit nervous, but and I was at that point, obviously I was throwing a perfect game. I was confident, and I was trusting my catcher, Yuli Hammer. He's one of the best catchers I've ever had, but just trusting him, and me and him were on the same page. We were clicking, and just know that it's just 3 outs and just try to do my job. So,
did you throw one?
Yes, yeah.
How did it feel?
It was pretty exciting. That was definitely one of my better baseball moments, and it was something that it's like you don't even think about, especially like me as like more of a hitter. I would think maybe a walk-off hit would be more exciting, but for that to happen, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no question. Okay, so this one comes from Jade Fontonelle. How amazing has your sister Jade been supporting you in baseball?
She's been good. Yeah, that's my sister, obviously. So she lets me ramble on about baseball things and lets me watch the Mariners on the living room TV. So, and she comes to a lot of my games too. So I appreciate her support, and she's a great sister.
How old is she?
She is 16.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you, Jade, for the question. Okay. Who is your biggest fan? This comes from Julia Matthews.
My biggest fan? I don't know. I'd probably say my grandparents. My grandparents are probably my biggest fan. They come to all my games, and they've been supporting me since day one, and they both live local, which is super nice. And that's part of the reason why I picked UW too, because I wanted them to be able to come to my games, and so they're probably my biggest fans. Yeah,
that's awesome. Can you tell in during a game, like, are you looking over to see, okay, they're there, like, oh, I can see my family, I can see my parents, my grandparents?
Yeah, I mean, they'll most of the time, like during warm-ups or something, they'll come over and they'll say hi, and I'll just wait for them. And it's most like during the game, I try to stay focused, but definitely, I'll notice when they're there, and I'm glad they come out and support me.
Awesome, man. Well, Cole, I appreciate you joining us here on Face to Face. It was great talking to you. I obviously feel horrible that your guys' senior season was canceled, but I know that you've got bright things in the future, and certainly have a lot to look forward to, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So this interview will be archived on scorebooklive.com/Washington on our YouTube page and our podcast feed on the Scorebook Live Today podcast. So if you missed all of it and you've tuned in late, then please find it there. So, Cole, appreciate your time.